Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the podcast today, we have Daryl Cygler. Daryl, welcome.
Hey, Thomas, glad to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you. Would you like to take a moment and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, certainly. So my name's Daryl Cygler. I'm the founder of Smartphone Video Marketing. We are a company that helps SME businesses start and scale their video marketing efforts, essentially without video production companies, without expensive film equipment, and in a lot of cases, without actually having filmmaking experience. And we do all this by using just a smartphone. It's something we're really empowered by, and it's something that we know can bring results to a lot of companies that choose to implement it.
It's a cool concept. I especially like the phones in the background there
Thank you.
for
Yes,
people that don't
yes.
know. That looks very arty. Have you got like an art background?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, the thing that I love about it is, you know, this is this is where the smartphone started, essentially. And I like to remind myself of that fact because, through the evolution of technology, things just progress. And I mean, the other great thing about it is, sometimes we bring clients into the office and we have a chat, and there's so much nostalgia around the old phones. Everyone remembers generally the first phone they have. It's quite a pivotal moment in people's lives. It's almost like a coming of age. They grow up, oh, I'm a big person now, I've got a phone, and so on and so forth. And I suppose more so for our generation as well, because we grew up generally as that technology evolved. So it was really like sci-fi happening right in front of us, whereas the kids now, they're immersed in it from a very early age. So it's probably not as significant, I guess, but
Mm.
yeah, I just love everything about it. And like I said, it reminds me of the fact of, wherever we are now and whatever I'm doing now with the phones, that's not to say what's going to happen in the future. I think, I don't know where it's going to go or what's going to happen, but I just want to be part of that journey and just see where it takes me.
Yeah, definitely a lot of demand for what you do, I'd imagine. In the prep for our conversation, there's one thing that came up that I really wanted to ask you about, kind of first and foremost, and that is if you've got like 10 or 15 staff or whatever it is, whatever number that you have, that's 10 or 15 potential video production or people that you have, or 10 or 15 smartphones that you have that can be creating content. That is quite a potentially powerful thing to have within your company. Do you mind talking about that for a moment?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The reason, I mean, you've summed it up. I mean, what the way we look at it essentially is, if you go with a video production company, I've got a SME business back in Australia. It's a B2B company, and we went down the traditional route that probably a lot of people go down, in that we wanted to start implementing video into our marketing efforts, and we went to a video production company. And they were very good at what they did. They came in for the day, and but what I found after the experience, it was quite a disjointed experience, as in we had to stop everything we were doing. We had to set up a lot of things and, almost like pre-frame everything. And it was very much project focused, and effectively we lost a lot of work for the day, if you want to say that. We got some videos out of it. We marketed those videos. Yes, they did okay. Uh, it was quite a lot of money in terms of where we were at the time. We were a startup business, so it was a big commitment. We didn't know how the videos were going to go, so it was a bit of a calculated investment, if you like. But the thing that came out of it was all quite disjointed, and it didn't really feel like it was something I could implement at scale, and that was the challenge. So we sort of just parked it then and just left the whole video marketing to one side. And that was back in 2015, really. And then what happened was I came across this term called mobile journalism, and essentially it was journalists that were pushing the envelope of technology at the time. So this was 2016, and yeah, fundamentally they were recording video news stories with their smartphones. And I was like, what? Okay. And Yeah, I mean, the more I looked into it, they were doing it. They were recording 6 o'clock primetime news stories with their smartphones. And I just went, no, wait a minute, this is crazy. So, the likes of the BBC in London, RTE, which is the equivalent of the BBC in Ireland, were pushing out this video content. And for me, that was a light bulb moment. I just went, wow, okay, if, major international global brands are pushing out content with their smartphones, well, then why can't business owners do this? So I immersed myself in what was mobile journalists, went out and actually trained with a lot of these people that were pushing, as I said, the envelope of the technology and the storytelling through smartphones at the time. And I guess what came to the fore for me was being able to capture these stories essentially within your business. And whilst we had, if I can reference back to the video production company coming in, I mean, they came in on a data on what was a project basis, if you like. They came in, they captured something, they left. You're running a business 365 days a year. If you want to capture video and the essence of what your business does through a video production company, they're not actually going to be around when those moments potentially happen. And that's what I saw was the real power of the smartphone. And equally, as your question alluded to, if you have 10, 20, 30 employees, if they are skilled up in the practice of smartphone creation, smartphone capturing of moments, essentially you have 10, 20, 30 cameras on demand capturing moments within your business that happen. And again, I make reference to our SME business in Australia. We work in some really challenging locations, isolated projects being right in the middle of Australia. I'm not going to send a video production company to the middle of Australia. We have our employees are out there doing what they do. They are versed up now on what we are looking for from a video capturing perspective. They've done training, so they know now things to capture and focus on. It sort of comes almost like a little bit part of their workflow. And then what happens is all that is collated back to what is the marketing team, as in myself and other colleagues. And then we take that and we blend that into what is our messaging for the business. So yeah, it's incredibly powerful medium. And if you can get that mindset implemented within the business and across the employees, it's exactly that. However many employees you have, potentially that's how many cameras you have to capture what you do, how you do it, and then as and when it happens.
I do think there is sometimes a struggle to, what should I post type, and it's specifically so it's not, you're not with that mindset, you're not really integrating the rest of the team. So I think it's a big thing to potentially, I don't know, I would highlight it as much as I can in terms of how powerful that could be, because it's just, and do you encourage training existing staff, or do you encourage hiring people with the intention that they're going to be doing that kind of activity?
Yeah, I mean, within the smartphone video marketing ethos, it's all about empowering internally. I mean, because that's one thing I picked up, using the business in Australia purely as a test case, because you get so much more from empowering within. Um, it's a good practice within the ethos of a business to empower your employees, make them feel part of something that's bigger. And this is just another aspect of that, by all means. Equally, there have been instances where we've gone in and we've shot smartphone videos, so on and so forth. But again, that's not what we're about. You know your business better than anyone else. You know the challenges around what your customers face. You have the conversations with the customers. You know what always comes up to the fore. So if something comes up that, is a unique take on something, or is a challenge that could answer this question, bang, if you're in that position, you can pull out your smartphone, you can capture that moment. And exactly that, we try and educate people internally to understand that principle and to be able to put that into play. And I mean, that's a big aspect of what we do. We do a lot of smartphone training for organizations. We go in and we train teams so that they very much can take that on board and move forward with their marketing.
Is that like a big part of your business, or are you doing courses? Because courses have been booming during this time, as you're
Haven't
probably
they?
aware.
Haven't they? Yeah. So before lockdown, before COVID, sort of 2019 started 2020, we were very much doing a face-to-face experience. We worked in conjunction with a lot of big digital marketing agencies, working with their clients, doing exactly that. And you know, it's something that we are quite proud of, because just seeing the transformation within that training process, you know, it's something that doesn't happen overnight, but just within the context of a day's training, people just get it. And to go from the start of a course where they're terrified of video to a certain extent, or they don't really understand the technical bits or the framing of it, or even how much power the smartphone has and all the little secret things you can unlock just to make your videos better, to at the end of it, they're like, oh yeah, we can do videos of this, we can do videos of that, and so on and so forth. I'm like, go forth, make videos. So it's quite empowering in that sense. But yeah, of course, COVID's come in. It's been a little bit more challenging in terms of being able to deliver that personal experience. So we are pushing towards more what is a online course structure as it currently stands. But you know, hopefully within the next month or two, once things open up, we're able to go back to what is that? Well, a combination of both, really.
Have you seen any like, do you monitor or look out for people you have trained, and what the differences are there? Because I can imagine it being, you know, if you go from, let's say, one person who regularly or attempts to regularly upload versus getting 10, 20 people who have the potential to upload. I mean, that could, what have you seen in terms of like the best case scenario in terms of people you've trained who, or companies you've trained who've then gone on to implement what you've taught them?
Yeah, I mean, we work with one company, and they specialized in building out leads for gyms. And what they did was they were sending in two-man teams, uh, and they would go in essentially and create video content on their smartphones, and then take over their social channels for the best part of a month, and just run really intensive campaigns to sort of build up memberships to those gyms. And they gave us examples of the video content they were doing before. I mean, this was something they were doing as a business model very much before they came into the smartphone video marketing training. And they gave us examples of the videos they were shooting. And I touched base with them, you know, months afterwards. And it's something I still continue to have a conversation with them in terms of their video marketing, and just the level of the sense of quality of the video that's coming out from those teams now is just at such a different level. Um, the visual elements of the storytelling is just it's a little more, it's more engaging, it's deeper on a visual level as well. So there's lots of positives, but I think the key point here, it's all relative to where you are. You know, the more you do it, sure, the more you improve. But you know, for a small business that's maybe got one or two employees, it's all about just starting where you can, understanding the simple fundamentals. So we had another company, they were a Surrey-based tutoring agency, for instance. They just started with recording a simple like onboarding video. They take on new tutors that come into their business, that help them implement their tutoring packages. So what they did, we worked with them and said, let's just shoot an onboarding video for your tutors that come into the business. Welcome them into the business, what to expect next, you know, the way that protocols work within the business. And it was done and shot by the lady who is actually going to be onboarding them. So it creates a very personal connection in the first instance, you know, and then any follow-ups that happen from that, hey, it's the lady that you're talking to in the video. So you have that connection there first and foremost. So there's lots of examples that you can pull from for sure.
Are there any businesses which, because it makes me think, like, the gym that you mentioned, I can imagine like a gym being a really good business to have that type of video content going all the time, because you've got the different exercises, you've got, you know, a fairly good place to video in. Are there any that are particularly well suited to it, or perhaps not that well suited to it, that you've come across?
What, businesses or gyms specifically?
Businesses.
Businesses. I wouldn't. I wouldn't think so. I mean, what I would say is, you know, for the one man bands, the solopreneurs, video can be quite challenging in a sense, because I say that not because you shouldn't do it, but purely because as a solopreneur, there's so many other things you are doing, you know, and that's the challenge. I mean, do what works for you best. And then when you're at a point where you're ready to maybe outsource some of your systems, some of your ways you operate to, you know, freelancers or even employees, that frees up your time to be able to take on video. Because when you start the process of learning to go through video and the video creation, it does take a lot of energy. It is a quite a learning experience on a personal level as well, because it is you giving a lot to this little camera. You do sort of approach a lot of insecurities if you have, or questions about yourself and your messaging and everything like that. So it is quite a learning experience in that basis, and that's why we really try and position it for SMEs that have employees, because it's all about giving that off to individuals that can own it within the organization. And through owning it and through their enthusiasm, they're able to push that into other members of the you know, the organization, and it just sort of builds internally. um, so I think that's yeah, where you need to be.
I can imagine you coming across this particular question frequently, and typically it's asked in relation to social media. So, like, what should I post on social media? But I can imagine it being even more prevalent in relation to video content. So it's like, what do I make a video about? How do you answer that question?
Oh gosh. uh it's primarily it's what you're comfortable to make videos about. If you are in marketing, and you know, everyone talks about this content strategy, in a sense it's all about understanding what your customers challenges are, you know, what the landscape is in terms of what people are searching for. I mean, you know your customers better than anything else. It is in essence an element of that, tying in video to reflect your content strategy. Now, specifics around video, I mean, you have onboarding videos, you have welcome videos, you have product demonstration videos. Um, you can also have the aspect of live video, you know, which is something you can very much do on a smartphone. You can have interviews, you can have so many elements of that. You can have thoughts and perspectives that tie into an interview as well. Case in point, yesterday, great cafe, local business, round the corner from right in Reigate. I loved what they do, and you know, I miss not being able to go and see them. And I just wanted to volunteer my time for them. I know they've had a really hard time over the last couple of months. Beryl and Peds in Reigate, they're awesome. And I just said, look, what are you doing for May the 17th? You know, you're actually going to be able to bring people into your business. I said, have you told any of your customers, your fan base, you know, what you're doing? And went, no, not really. You know, I'm like, right, let me shoot you a video. And they're like, what? Okay. And they said, oh, no, I don't think we can do it. I said, look, it was a bit of a push. And I said, come on, look, I'm just going to do it on my smartphone. It won't be intrusive in any way. We'll just come in and we'll do it. And yeah, I mean, we went in, we were probably there for just over an hour. We got lots of shots. I knew the narrative I really wanted to tell in terms of, you know, an up and coming event is happening. And so we shot a video all about how Barrel and Pegs are looking forward to welcoming back their customers, what they missed most about not having them in, what they've done since they've been in lockdown. And we shot it very much in a documentary style, a bit like I mentioned mobile journalism. We shot it in a very sort of newsworthy style. And yeah, we got it out to them and they just were blown away. And they're going to be pushing that out to their social channels, throw a bit of money behind it just to give it a little bit more of a boost in terms of its visibility distribution. But again, that's a great example of, hey, this is an opportunity. There's something coming up. Let's tell our customers about it. And I guess it probably comes back to, if it just feels right, a gut instinct, does this feel like this is something we should be getting out as a message? If it is, yes, that's your answer.
You mentioned the documentary style. I actually think documenting, I'm not sure if you've heard this before, but documenting is almost an easier way of going about creating content than it is like trying to think of a particular thing to make content about, because you're just basically saying what you're doing on a daily basis. And if someone wants to tune in and watch that, they can, and if they don't want to, then they can go on to the next video.
Yes, I agree. Very much so. You're almost, as you say, documenting that journey. Where that journey goes, we don't know, but it creates a great timestamp. We have 3 principles of smartphone video marketing in terms of the styles of videos that we categorize, if you like, because smartphone video is quite a broad concept. So we very much position video as in live video first and foremost, and that's almost, as it suggests, capturing the moments. If something's happening within the business now, you pre-frame it, you title it up, you hit live, and you talk about the moment there and then. The other one we talk about is almost like a documentary style, which very much reflects the mobile journalism style, where it's shot in a style that's almost story-based. In that sense, it's a lot of video images with like wide shots, medium shots, close-up shots, and a narrative overlay, if you like. And that could be the business owner talking about something, and then you have a lot of visual imagery which supports what they're talking about. Classic example is just watch the news articles you see on the 6 o'clock news. It's very much shot in a similar style to that. And then the third style, we very much call it if you like, the Instagram style, the social media style, which is a style that reflects probably the platform you're going to go in. Instagram is a lot of flowing things and flowing images. Yeah, I mean, it can incorporate reels, it can incorporate, your stories and all that sort of stuff. So that's the way we try and categorize the 3 different elements. And you need to understand what those elements are that reflect your business. And equally, you need to understand the platforms you're going to go into that reflect your business. So there's different elements that come into play in terms of having a strategy around video.
I wanted to ask how you've implemented the video marketing into your business, but then I noticed the smartphone on the desk. Are you living now?
That one there? No, not living now. Just living now that way, if you like. But so how have I incorporated that into my business? Well, within the business in Australia, I mean, we do it very much all the time. As I said, I went and trained with mobile journalists back in 2018, and that was a great experience. I traveled around Ireland for a week and just immersed myself with, there's about 10 journalists from news stations all over Europe, and it was amazing. And this was a thing, because of the opportunity I saw, I was actually the only marketeer that was there. They were all mobile journalists, so I was well and truly out of my comfort zone. I was sort of like, oh my gosh, these are all, I'm just sort of imposter syndrome here. I've got no idea what I'm doing, but I wanted to learn, and it was brilliant. I learned so much about it. And I guess the pivotal moment was they trained us up for a week, And then they sent us into a business that we had no idea what was about. They said, right, you've got 2 hours to go into this business and create a story on the back of it. So we had all different businesses, and I was lucky enough. I got sent into a pub or a shebeen in Ireland, and we just had to just try and find a story about this pub and what was so special. And yeah, it was interesting. We went in there, and I ended up finding a hook, a story the guy talked about, where he said, you know, we're the most westerly pub in Europe, and I went straight away, that's something to jump onto. And also how it was started as a legal pub, a shebeen, and how the family has taken it all over. So it was really interesting. It was understanding the element of story, and then understanding the element of bringing that story to a visual concept, and just trying to capture that through your smartphone. And so from that experience, I went straight back to Australia, and I put it into the business out there. And, you know, we specialize in big, large fuel tanks. It's not particularly sexy. It's not particularly a social media Instagram sort of business in any sense. You know, it's big, square, boring tanks. That's what it is. But I thought, I want to tell a story about, you know, the products, what they do, and who they serve. So I shot a simple 30-second video, documentary style, very much so, a bit of product demonstration. That's all it really was. And put some paid money behind it, just to sort of distribute it into the various industries I knew we would serve. And I set that video live 2 years ago. That video is still running. We're still putting budget behind it. It's had over 3 million impressions, like to audiences. It's given us over like 100,000 clicks to our landing pages, to our website. So that for me is just a massive win. And it's something that's very much is an example of smartphone video marketing working. And it was just a process of, hey, I'm going to give this a go. We very much call on imperfect action. Imperfect action is action, and action is progress. And, you know, I did this video, I threw it out there. It wasn't particularly great in terms of my sense of, you know, I wanted it to be perfect, but I thought, no, I'm just going to put it out there, and did it. And you know what? The fact that that video is not perfect, and the fact it's delivering what it is the bigger winner out of that. I'm not changing that video for anything now. So, but so that's what we're doing within the business in Australia, and also within smartphone video marketing, because it's more of a service-based business. It's more talking about, if you like, your approaches, your methodology, your ideology behind the business and the process. And because you don't have a product to shoot as such, it's more of a personal video in a service-based business. So that's more like pieces to camera, or maybe talking about industry thoughts, so on and so forth. But what's quite nice is when you're talking about it, coming back to the documentary style, rather than just being a continual headshot piece to camera, you can start to introduce other visual elements that complement the narrative as you're talking. So that's something we do quite a lot of within our service-based business of what is smartphone video marketing.
How much do you touch on the edit? Because with simple videos, you can imagine like talking to camera, turning the phone around type thing. You know, you can just do a one take and upload. But if you're talking about like cutaways and adding other visual media in, there's an element of editing there. What do you teach people in relation to that topic?
Yes, we very much teach editing as a process as well, because as you've said, there's so much variety to video. And if you want to get into the sense of creating these documentary style videos, there is a lot more to it in terms of the editing aspects. So you can very much edit on a phone. There's some great apps out there that enable you to be able to do that. You've got apps like KineMaster, which is really strong for Android. You've got LumaFusion, which is the industry leader on Android. And essentially, they enable you to be able to edit the footage that you've shot on your phone on the fly. And that's another aspect that enables you to be very agile, very dynamic. And this was something that originally appealed to the mobile journalists, because they're out in the field doing what they do, and to be able to take that footage and then essentially cut it into a story in the field, so powerful. And I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a skill set to editing in itself, and it's something that you just have to start with. Keep it simple. We give you some simple fundamentals of editing within the app, within the various apps as well. Overlaying voices, overlaying music, turning the music down, the voice up as you talk, and then the other way around as you sort of drop out. The various shots that complement your narrative, giving them sort of 2-3 second timestamps, and then piecing that all together. And yeah, I mean, it's like anything. You have to start, but by the process of starting, you learn the process, you learn the skills along the way, and that's the benefit. What I will say, smartphone and video in general, it takes time. This is not something you're going to pick up within the course of a month. It's something you very much have to take a long-term approach to, and I think that's the key.
It is amazing the innovation around the apps for editing on phones, because it used to be, I mean, I don't think video editors are too pleased because it's like tech innovation, but and the potential for erasing jobs. But at the same time, like you say, the concept of being able to edit on the fly and actually do it well is just amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, what I will say is, it's all about you finding your workflow. Uh, in some instances, we'll go out and we will get the smartphone footage, and then just from a simplicity workflow point of view, we will come back to the office and we will cut that footage into an edit on a PC, or a desktop rather, because it just works, because that's our workflow. But equally, if we're in a situation where we're out in the field, we still have that skill set where we know we can go into the app and we can pull all of that together. So we're in a position to be able to get that out as needs dictate.
Have you got any thoughts on which platforms a particular business should be uploading to?
Wow, I don't think I can generalize in that sense. The business owners will clearly know where their audience is, and that's the key. Know where your audience is. Talk to that audience in that platform. B2B, I mean, you would say LinkedIn in the first instance, but equally, Facebook has some seriously powerful targeting abilities within their ad platforms. So what I would say is, understand where your audience is, understand that platform, and dominate one platform first. Just be the market leader in that platform, own that platform in every sense, and then when you've done that, then start to look at secondary platforms. Yes, you can start to sort of look at, for the likes of YouTube and doing video ads or video content within the context of YouTube as well. But it's knowing your single platform and owning it first there, and then branching out from that at a staged approach.
Okay. And what are the main misconceptions about what it is that you do? So like if you introduce yourself and you say, what we do is smartphone video marketing, is there any kind of typical, we wouldn't do that because, and you get that a lot?
Yeah, I guess the biggest misconception is, they think that we primarily come in and do the videoing, a bit like a video production company. And, maybe I'm missing a trick there. I don't know. But essentially, we're trying to, like I said, we're trying to empower within, because I think that's where the real value is. And, equally, I used to work in a big digital marketing agency, and, I've seen this whole transition to training as well, in terms of, training your employees within the business for the various aspects of marketing within a business. And to the point where some agencies now are, they're almost training so that skill set can be brought in-house, because there's so much more value just sometimes when you sit in-house. Sure, there's specific skill sets that you might look to outsource for very, very skilled requirements. But I mean, what we're trying to do is empower within, because, you know, the old proverb,
Teach the man how to fish, right?
teach the man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. And that's fundamentally what we're trying to do with smartphone video marketing. And like I said, it's a long-term play. And if you can imagine, you take on the concept, in a year's time, you're in a position where your video content is on demand and is so much more than where you were a year ago, and your confidence has gone through the roof. You are in a good place, and that's what we're all about.
So in terms of what the best smartphone video marketing that you've seen, if you think of like, you know, that is really first class, whether it be multiple companies or maybe just one, what is the similarities that you see in that?
Okay, so I mean, it's not so much marketing as such, it's more video that has been shot through a smartphone. And I think that's the key. I mean, there's been some really prolific Hollywood producers that have created movies with their smartphones purely as a test case to what can be done. Steve Soderbergh is a well-known Hollywood director. He's done multiple films on smartphones, iPhone 8s, High Flying Birds, Tangerine. Great films. They've come out. Lady Gaga, 2020. She'd been off the scene for a while. She came back, dropped her first album in 3 years. First video she did was all shot on an iPhone 11. So, you know, this is almost like a precedence of of what is an iPhone breaking into mainstream media, which I find is quite powerful. There's some really great mobile journalists out there which are pushing the envelope in terms of the stories they are telling. There's a guy in America called Mike Castellucci. He's a multi-Emmy award winning journalist. He's been shooting news stories on his smartphone since 2015, 16. He recently did a video, I think, in Detroit. They were applying for a massive, big Apple technology center. And I mean, this is a center that is open to any city within the world to get, but they only put like 2 of these centers in for whatever time frame it is, every, you know, 10 years as part of their evolution program. And he cut a video pitching Detroit as being one of those places to go to. And yeah, it's such a emotive video in terms of the way that he pitched it for Detroit. I was like, yeah, man, they deserve it straight on the back of that video. So, you know, there's a lot of really great examples of video content being shot. Whether or not you would put it under the umbrella of marketing, actually, no, you would, because they've all got an intention. You know, I've referenced Lady Gaga. She's getting her brand out. That's very much branding. That's marketing. Mike Castellucci doing his video, he is marketing in a sense. He's pitching to get that factory built in Detroit. So yes, it is marketing. So there's some examples for you.
Great examples, and very high profile people as well. So
yeah, definitely.
it can be done, and it can be done very well.
Yeah, and I mean, another one is just springs to mind is, you know, Apple itself. They're always doing some great visual pieces on what the iPhone can do.
Is there anything that you feel that would be valuable to share that I haven't asked you about today?
Oh gosh, what I would say is think about the future. Think about video. I did some research not so long ago about, you know, the typical sort of marketing channels that most businesses use in terms of, you know, SEO, PPC, social media, email marketing, direct response marketing. There's probably a few others I've forgotten, and video marketing as well. And, you know, I was just looking at the volumes around the search volumes around those various channels on a monthly basis within the UK. And I mean, they were huge. And, you know, there was an ascending order in terms of priority. But what was interesting is video marketing was down the very bottom. And I just was blown away by that, because we probably all hear about how video is such a powerful medium for your messaging, your conversions, the personal aspect of it. But, when I looked at it from a search perspective in terms of people that are finding it interesting or want to get into it, it's so off the radar in terms of people doing it now. So, in the with the vision of maybe being an early adapter, I know there's video everywhere now and video, everyone talks about it, but in terms of people that are actually implementing it, I think it's still a very, very small proportion of businesses that are implementing it. So I'm like, be brave, take it on. And smartphones can very much give you that mechanism to be able to create video easily. So yeah, I mean, if you do it now and if you take it on, work through it, it's going to be challenging, definitely. But like I said, imperfect action is action, action is progress. And the great thing about video is it creates a timestamp. And in a year's time, when you're creating video and you actually go back and look at your first ones, and you go, my gosh, I've come so far. It's brilliant. I'm so glad where we are and where we're going. And it'll be a really reflective time. And hey, your business is going to benefit so much from it in the future. And as I alluded to before, we don't actually know where these phones are going. So if you're part of that journey now, I think it's only going to put you in good stead for the future, for you and your business.
I was going to say, actually, during your answer, it seems like you are early, and that is the best place to be in my view. So yeah, I guess well done for seeing it before most people
Well,
do.
yeah, I mean, hey, it's not always clear, and I don't know where it's going to take us, and some days it feels like I'm banging my head against the wall in terms of trying to convince people to the uptake of it. But I think in the long term, it's definitely going to be around for a while yet. I mean, the other thing that's coming into play as well is 5G, and once 5G becomes the mainstream, there's going to be this massive reduction in, call it the lag, because video has such massive file sizes around it, and 5G is just going to totally reduce that down. The bandwidth's going to open up, so the speed at which we can consume and create video and upload it into the cloud is just going to be easier as well. So that's another opportunity.
Daryl, what are your goals?
Oh my gosh, my goals. To be happy. What can I say? That's the first and foremost. Bit like you, to be ethical in what I do, definitely. And just build personal relationships that with people I want to do business with. Like-minded people. We're all having a go. We're all trying to do the best we can. Why did we all get into business? Because we all have goals in terms of our lifestyle, in terms of giving back to people that are close to us. So, that's very much about what I'm trying to build here. And I want to work with similar people that have that same approach, by all means. Yeah, positively optimistic. What can I say? Part of that, live a little bit in Australia, live a bit in the UK, enjoy life, keep smiling. Broad brush goals. What can I say?
Well, like if you've got Australia as an option of a place to live, I'm not sure why you want to live in the UK, but
well, I've okay. So fun fact here, I've been actually in this country now for the best part of 25 years. So it's getting very much to the point where I left Australia at the age of 25 to come and see the world, ended up in the UK. I've been in the UK now for the best part of 25 years. I'm getting a bit of an identity crisis in terms of who I am. So, yeah, Australia is very much part of my roots, but equally English is part of the UK is part of my roots here as well. So
you're home now. You're used to the grey weather.
A little foot in both camps would be nice.
Daryl, where's the best place for people to find you?
Excellent. So you can very much come to our website. It is SMARTPHONEVIDEO.MARKETING. And equally, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. LinkedIn.
Oh, I like
LinkedIn.
I like the LinkedIn. I think that's potentially a social media platform waiting to happen.
Yeah, a little slip there, tongue twister, too much talking.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the value today.
Excellent, Thomas. Great to be part of your podcast. You're doing great things with video. And, like I said, you don't know where we're going with video, but through the action of sticking with it, I'm sure we're going to go places.
Cool. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, Thomas. All the best.